Did you know that some of the most intelligent people often doubt their own intelligence? While others overestimate their abilities, truly smart individuals tend to underestimate themselves. In today's video, we're revealing 7 surprising signs that you're actually highly intelligent, even if you've never thought of yourself that way. Before we dive in, here's something fascinating. Studies show that intelligent people are often the last ones to recognize their own intelligence. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect in reverse. So if you've ever felt like you're not smart enough, this video might just change your perspective. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future psychology content. And stick around until the end, because sign number 7 is something that almost everyone overlooks, but it's one of the strongest indicators of high intelligence. Now, let's discover if you have these signs. Sign number 1, you constantly ask questions and admit when you don't know something. Here's the thing, less intelligent people often pretend they know everything because they're afraid of looking stupid. But highly intelligent people, they're comfortable saying I don't know because they understand that admitting ignorance is the first step to learning. Think about it. Have you ever been in a meeting or a class where everyone's nodding along, but you're the only one brave enough to raise your hand and ask for clarification? That's not a sign of weakness. That's intellectual courage. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that people with higher IQs are more likely to question assumptions and seek deeper understanding. They don't just accept information at face value. They dig deeper, they challenge ideas, and they're genuinely curious about how things work. So if you're someone who constantly asks why and how, even when it seems obvious to everyone else, congratulations. That curiosity is a hallmark of high intelligence. Sign number 2, you're often your own harshest critic. Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but intelligent people tend to be more aware of their mistakes and limitations. While someone with lower intelligence might brush off their errors or blame others, highly intelligent individuals analyze what went wrong and how they can improve. You know that voice in your head that replays embarrassing moments from 5 years ago, the one that points out every little mistake you make? That's actually your brain's way of learning and adapting. It's called metacognition, which is the ability to think about your own thinking. A study from Cornell University found that highly intelligent people score higher on self-awareness tests. They can accurately assess their own performance, recognize their weaknesses, and actively work on improving them. But here's the catch. This can sometimes lead to imposter syndrome, where you feel like you're not as capable as others think you are. If you've ever felt this way, especially when you're actually doing well, it might be because your intelligence makes you acutely aware of how much you still have to learn. The key is to balance self-reflection with self-compassion. Being critical of yourself is good for growth, but don't let it stop you from recognizing your achievements. Sign number 3, you'd rather have deep, meaningful conversations than small talk. If you find yourself zoning out during conversations about the weather or celebrity gossip, but you come alive when discussing philosophy, science, or complex social issues, that's a strong indicator of high intelligence. Intelligent people crave intellectual stimulation. They want conversations that challenge their thinking and expose them to new perspectives. Small talk feels superficial because it doesn't engage their minds in the way they need. This doesn't mean you're antisocial or arrogant. It just means your brain is wired to seek depth and meaning. You want to understand people on a deeper level, not just exchange pleasantries. Research published in the British Journal of Psychology found that highly intelligent people actually feel less satisfied with life when they socialize more frequently with friends. Why? Because they prefer quality over quantity in their relationships. One deep conversation with a close friend is more fulfilling to them than 5 superficial chats at a party. So if you're the person at the party who ends up in the kitchen having an intense discussion about artificial intelligence or human consciousness, while everyone else is playing drinking games, you're probably more intelligent than you think. Sign number 4, you're highly adaptable and open to new experiences. Intelligence isn't just about knowing facts or solving math problems. It's about mental flexibility, the ability to adjust your thinking when faced with new information or changing circumstances. Have you ever noticed how some people struggle when their routine gets disrupted, while others seem to roll with the punches? Highly intelligent people fall into the latter category. They can pivot quickly, see multiple solutions to a problem, and stay calm when plans change. This adaptability comes from something called fluid intelligence, which is your capacity to think logically and solve problems in new situations, independent of acquired knowledge. It's what allows you to learn new skills quickly, understand complex concepts, and think outside the box. A study from the University of Minnesota found that people with higher IQs are more likely to embrace change and seek out novel experiences. They're not afraid of the unknown because they trust their ability to figure things out. So if you're someone who gets bored with routine and constantly seeks new challenges, whether it's learning a new language, picking up a new hobby, or exploring unfamiliar places. That restlessness is actually your intelligence pushing you to grow. Sign number 5. You tend to overthink and analyze situations deeply. Now, before you think, wait, isn't overthinking bad? Hear me out. While excessive overthinking can lead to anxiety, a moderate amount of analytical thinking is actually a sign of high intelligence. Intelligent people don't just react to situations. They analyze them from multiple angles. They consider consequences, weigh options, and think several steps ahead. This can sometimes feel exhausting, especially when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. replaying a conversation and analyzing every possible meaning behind someone's words. But here's what's actually happening. Your brain is running complex simulations. It's processing social cues, predicting outcomes, and trying to understand underlying patterns. This is called cognitive complexity, and it's strongly correlated with intelligence. A study from the London School of Economics found that people with higher IQs tend to worry more about potential problems and think more deeply about their decisions. While this can sometimes lead to analysis paralysis, it also means you're less likely to make impulsive mistakes. The trick is to recognize when your overthinking is productive, like when you're solving a problem or making an important decision, and when it's just your brain spinning its wheels. Mindfulness and setting boundaries for your thinking time can help you harness this trait without letting it overwhelm you. Sign number 6. You genuinely enjoy and need time alone. If you're someone who feels energized after spending time by yourself, who looks forward to solo activities like reading, writing, or just thinking, you're in good company with some of the most intelligent people in history. Solitude gives intelligent people the space they need to process information, reflect on ideas, and recharge their mental batteries. It's not that they dislike people. They just need alone time to think deeply, without distractions. Research from the British Journal of Psychology found an interesting pattern. Highly intelligent people derive less satisfaction from socializing frequently compared to those with average intelligence. This doesn't mean they're antisocial. It means they're more selective about how they spend their time and energy. Think of it this way. While some people need constant social interaction to feel fulfilled, intelligent people can find fulfillment in solitary activities because their inner world is rich and engaging. They can entertain themselves with their own thoughts, ideas, and projects. So if your idea of a perfect weekend involves curling up with a good book, working on a personal project, or just having uninterrupted time to think, don't let anyone make you feel like there's something wrong with you. You're not antisocial. You're just intellectually self-sufficient. Sign number 7. You're acutely aware of how much you don't know. This is the big one I mentioned at the beginning, and it's probably the most powerful indicator of high intelligence. It's called intellectual humility, and it's the opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect describes how people with limited knowledge or competence in a field tend to overestimate their abilities. They don't know enough to realize how much they don't know. But highly intelligent people, they've learned enough to understand just how vast and complex the world really is. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by how much there is to learn, if you've ever looked at an expert in a field and realized just how far you have to go, if you constantly discover new areas of knowledge that you knew nothing about, that's not a sign of inadequacy. That's a sign of intelligence. The Greek philosopher Socrates, considered one of the wisest men who ever lived, famously said, "I know that I know nothing." He understood that true wisdom comes from recognizing the limits of your knowledge. A study from Pepperdine University found that people with higher cognitive ability are more likely to express intellectual humility. They're comfortable with uncertainty. They actively seek out information that challenges their beliefs, and they're always looking to expand their understanding. So if you often feel like you're not smart enough, if you're intimidated by how much you still have to learn, take a step back and realize that awareness itself is a sign of exceptional intelligence. Less intelligent people don't even know what they're missing. So there you have it, 7 signs that you're highly intelligent, even if you've never thought of yourself that way. Let's recap quickly. You ask lots of questions. You're self-critical. You prefer deep conversations. You adapt easily to change. You overthink things. You enjoy solitude. And you're aware of how much you don't know. Now here's the important part. Intelligence isn't about being better than anyone else. It's not a competition. These signs are simply indicators of how your brain processes information and engages with the world. And remember, intelligence comes in many forms. Emotional intelligence, creative intelligence, practical intelligence. They're all valuable, and they all contribute to making you who you are. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these signs resonated with you the most? Did you discover something about yourself that you hadn't realized before? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love hearing your thoughts. And here's a question to ponder. Do you think intelligence is something you're born with, or can it be developed over time? Drop your perspective in the comments. If you found this video helpful and insightful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more people who might need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our psychology content. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, questioning yourself is not a weakness. It's often a sign of the very intelligence you're doubting. I'll see you in the next video.